changing that perspective in your mind when you're going through an experience will completely shift how you respond to that experience and what you learn from it.
Hey, welcome back to another HVAC Success Secrets Revealed with Thaddeus and Evan. Today we've got on Justin Judd. He is the VP of Sales and Partnerships at CHIIRP, which is the ultimate automation and communication toolbox for home service companies. Fantastic episode today. I loved it. Thad, what were some of your favorite nuggets?
You know, there were a few. I think when we look at this whole customer experience and the journey that goes in behind that, of how you can match continuity in your branding to your website, to your form submit, but then more importantly, what we got really into is those key things after a form submit or after a phone call into the system. I think that was just a fascinating part of today's show.
How about you, Justin?
Yeah, touching on that. I love talking about the customer experience as well. I talked about it a little bit, but I just think with how competitive this industry is right now, and with private equity coming into play, and nothing against private equity, but private equity is here. Taking care of customers and staying top of mind is absolutely crucial. The more we can take care of customers, the more we can keep those customers around, and the more long-term opportunity it's going to create for our companies. On top of that, yeah, I like talking about the mental health stuff, guys. People are hurting, and people are uncomfortable to talk about it. And I think it's extremely important to be open about mental health in the workplace and just in general. Everybody's going through things. And when we can be more open about it and just be vulnerable and authentic, it really helps out a ton of people, and they know that they're not alone. So those are a couple of things that I really liked from the episode.
Well, and thank you for sharing and being vulnerable in the episode, not once, but twice. And they were both riveting, and the first one, super vulnerable. And I really appreciate your rawness and your realness and your authenticity there. And the second one right near the end of the show, I think a lot of people need to hear that message too, because it was super important and impactful in many different ways.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
What about you, Evan?
Hard to follow that, especially when you gave it raw like that. But no, I really appreciated the value added conversation that we talked about, where we went a little bit deeper on how can you go beyond the initial text messages, the initial emails. People are inundated with offers all the time. Everybody wants to sell, but nobody wants to provide value. And we got into that a little bit in the discussion around how can you truly stand out as a home service provider in a competitive marketplace and be able to add more value than anyone else could possibly expect of you. Love that part of the conversation as well. Give the episode a listen. We want to hear your feedback as well, so leave it down in the comments. What was your favorite part of the episode? And enjoy the show. HVAC Success Secrets Revealed with Thaddeus and Evan. We have good conversations with good people, and any good conversation worth having is worth having drunk. It'll just be me and Thaddeus having a little drinky poo today.
I got some tequila going. We're living my Mexico glory.
Tequila? There you go. These cold, wintry Canadian days. I'm super stoked for this show. We got a good friend of ours, Justin Judd, on the show. Justin, he's the VP of Sales and Partnerships at CHIIRP, who happens to be one of our sponsors of the show, longtime friends. We've had Ryan on the show before in the past as well. And one, we really love the product, so that part's easy. Two, Justin is just a phenomenal dude. Every time that we show up to an event and he's there, big ass smile on his face, and he's just having a great time. He's always the heart of the party. And what I love is, one, he's easy to get along with, easy to have conversations with, easy to shoot the shit with. But the knowledge, the wealth of knowledge that he possesses, every night that we've hung out, I think he's dropped some sort of knowledge bomb that just makes me think for like 4 days afterwards. So I'm super stoked for today's show.
Well, your words are much kinder for him than I would have come up with, because generally it's 1 a.m. where we're thinking about the ideas, and he doesn't drink anymore. So he's generally the level-headed voice of reason for us when we're at those events. But no, again, super excited. I mean, again, you mentioned we've had Ryan on, and I'm excited to unpack some of the knowledge that Justin brings to the table with what he's doing with CHIIRP and leveraging his past experiences to really dive in and hone in on some of the conversations on some of the things that are impacting people today, and hopefully giving, well, I know he will give some actionable steps and tips to be able to help you overcome some of those challenges. But today's episode would not be possible by our sponsors. Of course, we already mentioned CHIIRP. We have Elite Call, Free2Grow, and On Purpose Media. And well, since CHIIRP is here today, let's start with them first. So CHIIRP is the well, you can transform your home service business. I was going to go our old one. Transform your home service business with CHIIRP, the ultimate automation toolbox. Capture more leads, connect instantly, and skyrocket your sales. They integrate seamlessly with platforms like ServiceTitan and House Call Pro. They offer automated texts, emails, and even ringless voicemails. Get your Google reviews boosted, customer loyalty with rehash programs. It goes on and on and on. Get in touch with them. Schedule your demo today, and get an exclusive 25% off your first 3 months by heading over to the link chirp.com/HSSR.
Love it. We also have Free2Grow. Free2Grow, Coach to Close. They are the same company, and so they're co-sponsoring the show. So Free2Grow, you unlock your full potential of your home service business with Free2Grow, your go-to partner for custom office solutions. We're more than just a service. We're your dedicated team committed to elevating the way you manage your customer interactions and CRM tasks. Their US-based professionals will work directly in your CRM with a full service answering service. They are your CSR, seamlessly managing your live calls, scheduling estimate appointments, capturing leads with efficiency, and working directly in your CRM. Plus, we've got your email and text communications covered as well, making sure that every message counts. With Free2Grow, you're not just streamlining your back office, but you're setting your business up for growth. Visit free-2grow.com for more information and to book your demo today.
Love that. All right. Have you ever thought about outbounding your databases to fill your dispatch boards with lucrative service and sales appointments and boost your memberships too? Cool. Well, enter in Elite Call, a US-based call center that does just that. For over 20 years, their dedicated teams just don't make calls. They directly integrate appointments into your CRM and fill your dispatch boards. Don't let your competition get ahead. Let Elite Call connect with your customers first. Visit elitecall.net to learn more.
And in order to take advantage of all of these services, you got to get your phone to ring first, which is why we've got On Purpose Media, your go-to home service marketing experts for everything website design, SEO, and PPC. You want a stunning, user-friendly website? We got you covered. Increase your visibility on the search engines? Got that too. Targeted traffic with effective pay-per-click ads? Definitely. Turn your presence into your online presence into a lead generation powerhouse. Visit onpurposemedia.ca to start your digital transformation.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to HVAC Success Secrets Revealed, a show where we interview industry leaders and disruptors, revealing the success secrets to create and unleash the ultimate HVAC business. Now your hosts, Thaddeus and Evan.
Evan, I'm not going to direct this at Thad right now, but I want to go ahead. Thanks for the kind words, man. I genuinely appreciate that. We'll just leave that out of this one. No, but what I really want to say is you guys are doing an awesome job with your podcast. I've been on a few different podcasts recently, and just the setup that you guys have with it, just that little video preview that just can't, I don't know, everything you guys are doing with it, you're doing a really good job. So shout out for putting that together, because I know that takes a lot of work.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. And it's moreover our team that does phenomenal things to be able to do that. It's not necessarily us. Trust me, if Evan were to create the video, it would be stick figures and pictures showing up, and that would be about as much as he could do. I'd be able to do a little bit more. I might be able to do like moving stick fingers, but in flip book format. That actually might be.
Were we kidding? I would have the perfect idea for it, and it would just sit there and never get done.
That is true. That is true. So, all right. Well, hey, man, I'm super excited to dive in with you today. I know that we've had lots of conversations over the years, lots of in-person conversations, a true shining light and a beacon into the industry, even when we have to wait in a tiny little area to go get food in Atlanta. at when their bar was closed, of all places. So appreciate you, my friend. Let's start off with your journey into the trades.
Yeah. Actually a pretty cool story. So I've been in software for about 17 years now. I came from a company called Route. Route was the first tech company to create shipping insurance for online stores, e-commerce. So like you go buy a pair of pants online and you get to the checkout and there's a little checkbox that says protect your package from loss, damage, or theft. It's usually like 1% of the cart value. Anyways, I was their third sales employee. I was their 17th overall hire. And we went from 0 to 1.5 billion in 3.5 years. It's the quickest. It's called the unicorn. When you go to $1 billion, quickest unicorn to ever come out of Utah. And I helped build out their sales team. And the issue that I was running in there is Route raised $250 million of venture capital money. And anytime you do that, I shouldn't say anytime, but a large majority of the time when software companies raise that much money, number one, it changes the culture of the company. The venture capitalists own the company. They own the decisions that are made in the company. And a lot of times customer support kind of falls down the drain because they're more focused on bringing in more deals as opposed to taking care of the customers that they already have, because it's all about the next valuation. So anyways, I loved my experience at Route, but I didn't love kind of the culture that created. And around that same time, Ryan Fenn, the owner of CHIIRP, randomly reached out to me because he saw me pop up on a LinkedIn feed. And so he called me and he's just like, hey, are you open to looking at another opportunity? And I was like, yeah, I actually am open to another opportunity. And so it's kind of just been on from there. Ended up joining CHIIRP. That was probably 18 months ago. And we were in an office with 4 people 18 months ago. And since then, we've moved offices 3 times, and it's been 2023 was a wild ride, to say the least.
How many people are at CHIIRP right now?
We have 19.
Oh, yeah.
So comparatively speaking to other software companies, we're still pretty lean, but that kind of growth within that short amount of time has been pretty cool to experience.
Yeah, no kidding. Especially even when you look at the other one too, where it says 0, where you go 0 to 1.5 billion in 3 years, and now with the hockey stick growth that CHIIRP is on too. Looking at that, what sort of, I guess, information can you pull? What sort of learning experiences through that rocket ship growth can you take out that a home service business put in? I know that was a great question, right?
No, that's a really good question. I'm really trying to think about it. I would say where my mind wants to go. So here's the cool thing about CHIIRP. We're profitable. Uber's not even profitable. Not a lot of people know that, right? And so there's a lot of software companies out there that have a huge amount of annual recurring revenue and they're still not profitable. One of the things that's been really important to us at CHIIRP, and we just implemented a new onboarding process because of it. We have an 8-call onboarding process over the first 3 months now because we really want people to be able to use the software efficiently. But anyways, taking care of your customers. I think that as contractors, the market's getting more and more aggressive with leads and private equity coming into the space. And I think it's extremely important just to take care of your customers right now. We interviewed a company, Gens Ryan. They're a $40 million a year company, pretty well known for being front runners when it comes to picking technology. And one of the questions we asked John Ryan on that interview is, what lead generation and marketing advice would you give to a company looking to scale to your size? And his answer was really interesting to us. He said, I'm not just saying this because you guys are on the call, but a big shift for me happened when I stopped focusing so much energy on generating more and more new leads and started shifting my energy to taking advantage of my existing database of customers I've already paid for and creating customers that would buy from me over and over again. And nothing, not to say these companies don't need to continue to generate new leads. We always need to continue to generate new leads. But I think once we turn a lead into a customer, taking care of that customer as best we can so that we can keep that customer for life.
Right. Well, they remain a sticky
It's
client then, right? Like that's
yeah.
the big thing, and keeping that stickiness and that recurring revenue. I mean, you think about a system, depending on where you're at, 10 to 12 years, 15 years, maybe you might be able to get that. And then they're looking to replace their system. So how can you remain front and center over those 10 to 15 years to be able to get that replacement when it happens and the repairs that might happen along the way?
Well, and it allows you to pay more per lead, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're talking about competing on like Google Ads or something like that, it's incredibly expensive. And for a lot of low players in the market, companies under $1 million, it's really difficult to get into that competitive space. But now if you are committed to this exceptional customer experience, you know that you're willing to even take a loss on that first call because you're so dialed in on everything else that you're going to get that replacement in 5 years, 10 years, etc., because you take such good care of a customer. Here's my question for you, Justin. As a company who is continuing to evolve and change that, how do you take any time and focus away from what you're currently doing to evaluate it to be able to make the changes necessary to continue to grow?
Can you rephrase that? Like,
Yes. So
sorry,
if we're
I'm
thinking,
trying to follow. Yeah, I'm trying to follow.
You got it. So if we're looking at how can we evaluate our customer experience and continue to improve upon the experience that they're having, but we're so busy in the day-to-day bullshit of handling problems, putting out fires, how do we take that time and create that time to then make those changes? Because everyone's dealing with shit every single day.
That is a damn good question. I can tell you, you have to implement systems and processes to be able to track that stuff. And so, like for us, for example, we're implementing like a really deep HubSpot right now, where we're able to like see if a company's like how many messages they're sending through CHIIRP, if they stop sending messages through CHIIRP. We're getting customer feedback just in regards to their onboarding process and how it was for them and what they liked about it and what they didn't like about it. And that's why we just created that new, 8-call onboarding process over the first 3 months. It's really hard to do. And so by no means do we have that figured out, or do I have that figured out. I think it's just taking it step by step. But I think you've got to be able to track it somehow is the important thing.
I love that. So putting metrics in place, that was the first one I took, and then getting feedback from customers. So having some sort of a survey response, happy client call, etc., so that you can really gauge where it is that you did well and where it is that you can continue to get better.
Yeah. And then the third thing I would say to that is you gotta hire people that are smarter than you. That's not something I'm good at. And honestly, I don't care to be good at that. And so that's where you got to hire someone that's smarter than you and that really knows how to do that kind of stuff and is passionate about it, so that you can continue to be busy and do what you're doing and bring someone on that's going to be able to do it quicker and better.
In thinking about the customer, and I want to get to the hiring thing eventually, but I want to stick on this customer experience journey. And we've had a few people say that customer experience is going to be the new battleground coming up in 2023, 24 and beyond as more people start to implement this. When you think about the initial touch points in somebody coming in to a business, whether they come in from Google or SEO or Facebook ads or wherever, what sort of things can a business, I guess, do from a customer experience standpoint to be able to have that wow experience right at the very beginning?
Speed.
In what way?
I think it's speed. So when leads are coming in, it's absolutely crucial to contact that lead ASAP, because number one, it shows them that you're a real company. Number two, you can start like building that relationship right away. Salesforce did a study with over 2 million form fill submissions. So basically, anywhere a potential customer could submit their information through a lead form. So that could be any form on a website. That could be Facebook lead ads, Angie, Thumbtack, Nextdoor. But what the study shows is that anytime a lead form is submitted, it's crucial to be within the 1 minute window of contacting that lead, because chances of converting increase by 391%. Lead value drops by over 50%, waiting just 1 extra minute. So from 1 to 2 minutes, lead value drops by over 50%. When you get to the 3 to 5 minute mark, you're extremely low. And it's because we don't have attention spans as human beings anymore. With TikTok and Facebook and all the other shit going on, when someone shows interest in what we're doing, it's just absolutely crucial to contact that lead ASAP. Number one, for maximum conversion, but number two, just to let that lead know that you're a real company, to start nurturing that relationship and just differentiate yourselves from the companies that are taking, I don't know, some companies can do it in 5 minutes, but even that's pretty rare. Most companies are taking 30 minutes to a couple of days, depending on their systems.
Yeah. So in looking at that, getting under a minute, what should somebody do? I mean, obviously use CHIIRP, chirp.com/HSSR. But when you look at leveraging that, I mean, what's the initial touch point? How does it work? Because I mean, you can send when you build a website, you can set it up so the website emails that person the second that they submit that lead. Is that good enough? Or should it be a text message saying, hey, thank you that we received your submission. A member of our team will be in touch shortly. Or should it take it one step further and have some more form of a personal element to it? What are you seeing as the most success there?
Yeah, good question. So number one, yeah, you can do this through CHIIRP. So appreciate the shout out. That being said, like, there is other softwares that you can do this through. So my goal of this is to like add value wherever I can to whoever's listening. So, but what you want to do is you want to attach some kind of automation to any forms that you're driving customers through your marketing. The way that we do it through CHIIRP is anytime that form is submitted, we can automate a text message to go out within 30 seconds of form submission. The text message is completely customizable. So you could have the wording for a website form be different than the wording for a Facebook lead ad form. And you want to do it through text message. Email's great and it has its place. But at the end of the day, if you're looking to build a relationship and actually communicate with that customer right away, and you're looking for conversion, there's just no comparison between text and email. Text has a 98% open rate and usually about a 10 to 45% response rate, depending on the campaign. You can do your research into email, but it's just not even anything close to that.
Well, and you completely remove the spam filter from it too, right?
Yep.
You send an email and the chances are it's going to end up in spam. Would you recommend they do both or just text?
I recommend they do both.
Okay.
Through CHIIRP, you can also do ringless voicemail. And there's actually ringless voicemail is just a pre-recorded voicemail that hits the inbox of the customer, shows up as a missed call, but it doesn't ring. We have a lot of people that do those for speed to lead to add a voice so that customer is not only getting that immediate text message, but they're actually getting a voicemail. Could be the owner of the company, just letting them know, hey, saw that you submitted this form. We'd love a chance to win your business, whatever it is. It's just a really cool way to add that personal touch. The reason we do multi-channel automation at CHIIRP, so text, email, ringless voicemail. Have you guys ever heard of the Reticular Activator in your brain?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've heard of it. Yep.
So the way that it works, have you ever gone to a car dealership and you're interested in getting a new car? And so you go and check out the car that you're interested in, and maybe you touch it, maybe you sit in it, you get to smell it a little bit. And the next thing you know, you see that car everywhere on the road. It's because it's hit your reticular activator. So if we can hit customers from multi-channels, every time we hit them, they're hearing our voice, they're getting a text, they're seeing an email, you're driving that message deeper and deeper into their brain until it hits the reticular activator.
Yeah, you're
So
creating awareness around it.
Mhm.
what was that?
You're creating awareness around it.
Creating awareness. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well,
familiarity. This is why I'm a big fan of email marketing as something that should be a part of most businesses' strategy, and not necessarily focusing on the point of, well, how many people opened it? How many book calls did we get out of it? The win is that they saw your business in their inbox. And even if they didn't open it, what's the feeling that they got around it? If you
Yeah.
can play to that and they know that, oh, they're trying to add value to me by sending this email, that's the win. That's it.
100%. That's interesting you say that. I was just on a call with a founder of another like vendor partner that's in a group that we're in, Certain Path. And we were just talking about what's working, what's not working. So CHIIRP's part of pretty much every best practice group that there is now. Nexstar, Certain Path, Praxis, BDR. Well, I go to all these events, right? And we set up booths and we talk with people. But I'm not your pushy kind of salesperson. I don't like to be like that. I'm a relationship builder. I like people to get to know me for who I am, and then it usually just kind of comes naturally. But my point to that is, we don't like sign people up at those shows. People want to see a demo. They want to know how it works. Sometimes we don't even necessarily generate a ton of leads right at that show. But our brand just being out there at every single show that a contractor goes to, and then they just see CHIIRP and they see CHIIRP again and they see CHIIRP again. Eventually, we can see by the numbers that people are scheduling demos, even if they're not doing it right at that event that they saw us at.
Yeah. The feeling of, fuck, I see you guys everywhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's constant and it's repetitive, right? And you're keeping that front and center until they're ready to make a decision.
Yep.
Yep. And I like I mean, even looking at that branding plan, I think that's where a lot of people also miss the mark too when they're running their business, is they don't necessarily get that whole idea of that repeated exposure all over the place, right? When you factor in and you think about, okay, home service business, well, are you putting a yard sign on there? Are your vehicles greatly wrapped? Are you putting on door knockers beside your neighbors, right? Are you sponsoring the Little League baseball team or football or hockey or soccer or whatever sport that you want to sponsor? It's the Little League right in your area. Are you doing those sorts of things? And then when they see that, now you couple that in with this speed, like a great website, great marketing online, and then a speed to lead. Well, now they've bridged this entire customer experience in their minds because they see this company everywhere. They see them front and center. Then they have the great experience on the website. And then if you submit the form and nothing happens, well, now there's a disconnect, right? When you can do these things, even though like the ringless voicemail too is such a missed opportunity, I think, for a lot of people. And yeah, sometimes it's a little weird because like, yeah, I got a missed call, but like I have my phone in my hand. So I'm like, I don't know, technology, right? But they call you back. Now your team doesn't have to necessarily spend the time outbounding. Now, if you put in an AI to help answer the phone, now you're even better.
Yep. No, it's a good point. I like that.
Yeah. So
Here, Thad, before we continue on, Corey has a quick question.
I'm gonna shift to that. So
okay, great. So yeah. One of the benefits of tuning into the live show, you actually get your questions answered while we're here live with the guests. So for those of you listening onto this podcast later, this is what you're missing out on.
Right. Yeah. I saw that and I'm like, all right, let's transition. So showing value through text campaign. And that was one of the things we talked about, is existing database in a rehash program. And this can even be, and when you look at, and I'm assuming part of what Corey's going, I'm going to assume here, and I know that you should never assume, but it's also, I have kind of a two-part question to this. One is talking about, okay, value in a text program that is the initial hit, right? And then follow-up sequences via text message, should they not answer the call or book whatever. How do you show value in that? But then the second part I want to get into later is the rehash. So first part of the question, how do you show value in follow-up sequences for people that might not respond to a form fill in the call, the text, the ringless voicemail, your CSR team calling, to be able to continue to show the value, to be able to get them in the door?
Yeah, when we talk about value, do you think, what's up, Corey, by the way? I know Corey. Shout out, Corey. When we're talking about value, do you think he's talking about the actual messaging that we're including in the text message, or do you think that he's talking more about like the drip campaign part of it, like you mentioned, where if somebody doesn't respond right away, we can continue to nurture them to hopefully convert them later on down the road? I guess I can answer both of those.
Yes. He just said, yeah.
It's basically the idea of how do we avoid being salesy every single time we message a client?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. So I got that. So, and I always try to like talk to people about this when I was doing demos, but the text messages are completely customizable. And so when you're putting together the text message, you don't want to have it be super salesy or look super, like a marketing text message. You can create a text message. For example, estimate follow up. An initial text message could be, "Hey, really appreciate you letting us come out to your house and give you an estimate. Um, we just sent you the estimate. Let us know if you have any questions. We really value this relationship," with an emoji. So just doing something that's letting them know, "Hey, we just sent you the estimate. Um, they can text us back or call us back on this number," and just touching the customer with a message that's not super salesy and just shows that you care and that you're following up. The second part of that is, I'll give you a specific example of like a tune-up campaign. We work with a guy named Dustin Miller. He owns Comfort now out of California. They're about a $10 million a year company, but he's been able to fill his shoulder season for 3 years in a row using CHIIRP. And what he does is when shoulder season comes around, he filters his database down to anybody he hasn't serviced in 12 months or longer, and he blasts out a 3-part tune-up special. The first day is a ringless voicemail that just says, "Hey, Dustin Miller with Comfort Now. Really appreciate you being a customer. Just want to let you know it's that time of year again. We've got 50 slots available right now for a $69 tune-up. Text or call us back at this number. We'd love to get you booked." And then 15 minutes later, a text message goes out saying, "Hey, our owner Dustin just left you voicemail. Just wanted to shoot you a quick reminder. We still have some slots available for that $69 tune-up. Text or call us back at this number. We'd love to win your business." And then a day later, they send like one more text message. So I think it's just being strategic in the actual messaging that you're using, so that it doesn't come across so salesy.
Right. And the other part too is there's not bombarding and constantly going day after day after day after day. It's a 2-day sequence, right? And now I'm assuming that depending on your database, you drip it out over a series of days, depending on how many people are in there. So you're not like, "Oh, I just sent this out to 1,500 people on day one, and well, that fucking sucked."
Yep.
Right. Now I have no availability to like booking a month out. Right. They don't want that.
Yep. For estimate follow up, most companies are running like a 4 to 6 touch point campaign over a 28-day period.
Yeah, Corey, I'm glad you asked this follow up here.
Sorry, Evan, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish that thought, and then I'll ask this.
I was just going to say, you want to stay top of mind, but you don't want to. It's also your customer or potential customer, right? And so you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to be annoying.
Right. So, I think where Corey was going with this, and basically what he just said here, example of a value add is, "Hey, 5 ways to get ready to spring. Would you ever get ready for spring? Would you ever use this method?" So taking like the Gary V approach of the jab, 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 right hook, right? Give, ask. Would you ever put value added messaging out there? Like, "Hey, when you're at the appointment, hey, just so you know, we do send out reminders to change your filters on your system. It'll come via text. We're not trying to sell you anything. We just want to make sure that your system's going to be running a tip-top shape year round, and you're not overpaying and overspending on your electricity bills. So we're going to send out a reminder on these days for your filter changeouts." Would you ever recommend that somebody does something like that, or even blast out like blog posts and things like that to their audience, which, by the way, helps out SEO? So
absolutely. Yeah. So one of the big campaigns people will run through CHIIRP. So when job is complete in Service Titan or House Call Pro or whatever it is, they will trigger what's called a post-job nurture campaign. And I think this goes back to the whole taking care of your customer thing that we talked about, because the cool part of this campaign is it's all about adding value to your customer without trying to sell anything. So most companies will send tips and tricks on how to keep up on a system, filter changer reminders, seasonal reminders, just a few different ways to add some value over like a 12-month period after a job's been complete. And that way, even though you're not selling anything, if that customer runs in anything during that 12-month period, you've stayed top of mind and have added some value. So hopefully you're going to be the company that they reach out to if they do run into something.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the other great one too is giveaway campaigns, right? Whenever you're doing a system giveaway for Thanksgiving, for Valentine's Day, showing some love, Veterans Day, wanted to give one out to veterans, being able to reach out to your audience and say, hey, we're doing this for our community. We care about our community. If you have anyone to nominate, please let us know. Here's the link, right? So now you're getting creative about how you can add value back to your current database.
Yep.
And then this whole value thing, when you do come in with that offer of your spring tune-up, now they're warmed up and receptive to your message. It's not just a random out of the blue. That's the other part, right? So love all of this conversation around the rehash. I do want to get into our random question generator and then shift our focus after that to another topic. So the random question generator is brought to you by, I was on the wrong thing. Random question is brought to you by On Purpose Media, where we know your audience better than they know their Netflix password. Unless you're my wife, the password is stupid simple. Probably anyone can guess it. So, familiarity with this. And we ask you, do you want question 1, 2, or 3? Of course, you don't get to know what they are. We're just going to ask you what question was behind what door. So do you want question 1, 2, or 3?
Well, seeing as 3 is my lucky number, I'm going to go with 3.
If you had to listen to one song for the rest of your life, what would it be?
It'd be Juicy by Biggie Smalls.
I love it when it's just so like
goes out to the teachers that told me I never amount to nothing. Yeah. That would be my song right there.
Amazing.
Yeah, that would be
Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. When I was dead broke, man, I couldn't picture this.
Yeah, I think you should just sing the whole song.
Right?
I don't know. I know most of it, but I might forget some of it.
That's usually the case unless you have like the music playing in the background and then you just remember every single word from it. So at least it hopefully it's just not on repeat in a room without windows that's dark, because I've heard that can be a form of torture. But hopefully it's not that way. All right, Evan, you said you wanted to ask him a question about a post that he had yesterday.
Yeah. So yesterday you put out a very, very fascinating post around victimhood. And oftentimes in life, we have shit that happens to us that is completely unexpected, that we would never wish upon anyone ever. Our worst enemies even, right? You had something like that happen to you. You didn't get into specifics of it. Not asking you to get into specifics of it here if you don't want to. But you had a unique perspective around it, in that really at the end of the day, you can either be a victim or you can take accountability for your own parts, move forward, take responsibility, find the light, find the gift, etc. I just wanted to give you kind of a platform, a space to talk about that, to talk about your beliefs around it, because I think it's something that I wish people would do more of. And I love the post, and I just wanted to give you the time and space to talk about it. Cool,
man. Thanks. I get a little bit emotional about this because, it means a lot to me. I'm a big mental health advocate because I've struggled. So yeah, when I was younger, I apologize, guys. When I was younger, I had something pretty messed up happen to me when I was in 3rd grade. And it was wild because I always, not always, but like later on in life, I heard people would block stuff out that happened to them. And I thought they were full of shit. But anyways, this experience happened to me, and I literally blocked it out for over 20 years. And then I started doing some therapy because I was hurting pretty bad, like internally. And it came up in a therapy session, like she was just going over some specific things, and that memory just like hit me like a ton of bricks. And it was crazy to experience that, just because I had blocked it out for so long. The interesting thing about it to me was, like, even though I had blocked it out for over 20 years, when I remembered it and then looked back on how I was living life, I could see how, even though I wasn't consciously thinking about it and I had blocked it out, it was still affecting me in multiple ways, in the way that I felt about myself, in decisions that I was making, in reactions that I was having to certain situations. And so I did a ton of therapy around it. I did a therapy called EMDR. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's a pretty intense therapy. It's life changing, in my opinion, if you're in the right headspace. And after doing that therapy, it really helped me realize, like, dude, that was a shitty situation, but it wasn't my fault. I was just a young kid, and then I really had two options. It was like, Justin, you can continue to let this situation own you and have power over you, or you can take accountability for where you're at in life right now and actually take the power back to change and create the life that you want. And so I decided to go with the latter. I was sick of hurting inside, and so I decided to take accountability for where I was at. And even though something bad happened to me, I wanted to turn it into a strength, and I wanted to use it as something that I could help other people with. So yeah, I'm a big believer in taking accountability. I had to take more accountability. Like, I had to take accountability for numerous parts of my life at that point, because I had a lot of talent, man. And I was just making shitty decisions, and I was beating myself up. And I had to forgive myself. And once I took accountability and said, hey, man, Justin, even though you had some bad stuff happen to you, it's you that got you here, and it's only you that can get you out of here. It really gave me the power back to actually change. And when I did that, I just started working on myself. I started doing a lot of internal work. I know that sounds cheesy, but I'm a big believer in it. And it's fucking crazy to look at where my life's at right now, to where it was not too long ago.
That's super cheesy. I regret asking the question. No, I'm totally fucking with you, man. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, it's incredible what happens when you take that power back, and realize that everything in your life is a result of the way that you've chosen to interpret your own life. I heard Alex Hormozi talk about this in the past, where there's no such thing as a traumatic experience. It is an experience that you decided to label as traumatic. It's just life happening. And do you believe that life happens to you, or life happens for you?
Yep.
You know, this event happening has given you the opportunity to grow, become more, and now become this incredible human being that's able to give back to so many more people because of it. And it's shitty that you went through it, but hopefully by you going through it and you being as strong as you are, you can make a change so that it never happens again.
I agree. It's funny you say that. That was one of my I haven't been talking to him as much recently, but I had a mental health coach while I was going through all that. And that was one of his big things that he pushed, is life happens for you, not to you. Literally just changing that tiny little, it sounds tiny, but changing that perspective in your mind when you're going through an experience will completely shift how you respond to that experience and what you learn from it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's two quotes that I've loved. That's one of them. And the other one was, if you can change your expectation into appreciation, your whole life will change. If you stop expecting things to be a certain way and just appreciate them for how they are, you can't be mad and grateful at the same time. It's physically impossible.
I think I struggle with that one.
Mm-hmm. We all
I think a lot of people struggle with that one. A lot of
But
people struggle with that one. A lot of people struggle with a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
and that's the point. That's the
Yes.
reason I appreciate you giving me a chance to talk about that on here, is because a lot of people are struggling out there, and a lot of times it's the person that you see with the biggest smile on their face,
Mhm.
and they don't have the courage to reach out to anybody because they feel alone or they don't want to feel stupid. And the fact is, we're all struggling. We're
Mhm.
all just doing, and I mean struggling. When I say struggling, I just mean we all have stuff that we're dealing with. We can all
Mhm.
use help. We can all use friends. We can all use support. And I just think it's important for human beings to know that, like, they're not alone, and that there's support out there for them.
Mhm.
Well, and I think that's the misnomer, is that people see like oh, I wasn't raped as a kid. I wasn't beaten as a kid. My parents didn't leave me. I wasn't adopted. I wasn't this. I wasn't that. And so I'm not going through shit. I should be able to figure it out on my own. But you're dealing with your own shit. Whatever it
Mhm.
was that maybe you didn't live up to the expectations of your parents in your own head. They
Yep.
might be proud as fuck of you, but
Yep.
you don't think of it that way. And so you beat yourself up and you set yourself up for failure, and you're constantly talking negatively about yourself. I mean, look at fucking Robin Williams. The dude achieved at the highest fucking level possible. He made everyone happy. He made everyone else laugh. And then he fucking hung himself for his family to witness that and to come home to that. The dude was suffering inside massively, and yet he achieved at the highest level.
Yep.
So whatever it is that you see on the outside, everyone is dealing with their own shit, and whatever story is going on in their head is okay.
Mhm.
And we just need to be more kind, considerate, and compassionate towards others. Even Justin Trudeau.
Let's not get too carried away here. But you are right, and so here's an issue that I think like. First off, putting that post on Facebook to say, "Hey, you're okay. It's okay to not be okay," is a very big testament. And I think more people also need to do that, because they get lost in this myopic world that is social media, that everything is rosy, everything is great, because people are only posting for engagement, likes, and shares and follows, and to say, "Hey, my life is awesome and amazing." Stop fucking doing that, people, because it, like, as you like, if you are not okay, if you are struggling with something, take that vulnerability. I mean, you don't have to post it on Facebook. I'm not saying go do that, right? Reach out and ask those questions. I mean, shit, send me a message on Facebook. I'll be here to help you out no matter what you're going through, because guaranteed I went through some pretty dark shit in my day, and I know that I have, right? Same thing, reach out to Evan. Same thing, reach out to Justin. I guarantee any single person on this, well, the three of us at least, I don't want to speak for others out there, will help you out.
Yep.
Right? Even if it's just a voice to listen to.
Let me ask you this, Justin. Right now, professionally, what are we struggling with the most? What is it? And contractors too. Like, let's face it, there's some big time struggles right now that we're facing between the economy, between staffing and our teams. What are you seeing right now that is a huge struggle, both internally and externally, around CHIIRP?
Yeah. Before I answer that, I had one thought come to my head real quick. To anyone listening to this, if you're a high performer or you run a business and you're maybe struggling with always wishing you were somewhere that you're not, I read a book last year, and it kind of ties back into what we've been talking about. It's called why is it The Gap in the Gain? You guys read it?
Yep.
Yep.
You
Dan
guys read it?
Kennedy.
I read that book like 3 times
Sullivan,
last
not
year.
Kennedy. Yep.
Anyone looking for a good book that's a high performer, a business owner, it's an amazing book, because I struggle with this particular thing. Basically, it talks about as a high performer, we're always looking for the next best thing. And it's hard. It actually has physical effects on your body when you're always looking for the next thing, as opposed to you're always comparing yourself to where you wish you were, as opposed to where you came from. And so the gap in the gain is all about comparing yourself to where you came from, so that you can be grateful for how far that you've come while still having goals. And obviously it's going to do a lot better job of going into this than me, but it's got effects on your physical health. It's got effects on your mental health. It's got effects on what you're attracting from the universe, which I'm a big believer in because I see it work every day in my life. So anyways, if you want looking for a good book, The Gap in the Gain.
Really great book. And that was like the philosophy that they talked about driving to the horizon, right? Like if you get your car and start driving to the horizon, guess what? You're never going to reach the horizon. I mean, sure, you might want to like physically ride on land and you're going to be on water, but you're still never going to reach the horizon, right? But if you take a look back in the mirror of how far you've come, like that's that power part of it. And like looking at those small different things. And so often we get lost in that driving to the horizon that we forget how far we've come.
Yep. And it's good sometimes to give yourself a little pat on the back,
Mhm.
you know, instead of just fucking being hard on yourself all the time. It's really good to appreciate how far you've come.
Yeah. Well, and giving others a pat on the back too, right? The rising tide raises all ships. And when we do that to ourselves and we do that to others, the tide rises.
Yep. So to go into your question, and it kind of correlates with what you just said, Thad, kind of the thing that we're really dealing with right now at CHIIRP is hiring. We're growing quickly. We have a massive opportunity. We have an amazing product. We're moving quickly. And it's absolutely crucial that we bring on A players. And, you know, I do the hiring for the sales team. And by the way, I need to preface this by saying my salespeople I have right now are fucking awesome. And I'm super grateful for that. But I went through a couple of bad hires. I went through some struggles. And it's really hard to know who to hire according to what you're looking for in just a couple of interviews. Somebody can tell you, and most people are going to tell you whatever you want to hear in an interview. And so I was talking to somebody about this earlier today. They might tell you what you want to hear in an interview, but then they come in and they start working for you and you see something completely different. And so I was telling somebody earlier today, like at this point, I'm almost set on, obviously they have to have certain skill sets, but I'm almost set on bringing in competitors. Like, did you play college sports? If not, you can't get hired. Not really, but people just with that competitive mindset, people that played sports, people that are always looking to compete. Those are the people that me personally that I'm looking for in here, because we need people to help us out right now. We need people to help us grow, and we need people that we're not going to have to hold their hand, and that they're going to actually be able to teach us about some things that we need to do to run the business better.
No, 100% agree. And I think in a sales role specifically, that competitor instinct, the competitive instinct, the will to win is absolutely crucial for that. And heck, sometimes even some of the office staff component of things too. But transition that out into technicians is important of a skill.
Is it as important? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a philosophical question. I mean, it could be, it could not be.
What do you think?
I think it depends on the role that you're asking them to do. Right?
I still think yes.
If they're a selling tech, then absolutely yes. But I mean, your pool also goes down a lot smaller than too. When you're looking at sometimes hiring the right person into the role in the field and where you're at. Keep in mind that great companies get their hiring decisions right around 70% of the time, right? And you're never going to bat 100% on hiring decisions.
Yeah, that's true.
So the reason I would say yes is that it doesn't matter what position they're in. Are they willing to compete? Because there's always something to compete on, right? Maybe it's not a sales metric that you're tracking in the scorecard. Maybe it's a customer satisfaction, right? So there's always something that there is that they can compete on, and understanding. And this is where, and shout out to Tommy Mello, because if you go read his book, Elevate, he goes through all of this, by the way. So highly recommend going to download that book, either Audible or buy it. Yeah, like it's a fantastic read, and he talks all about this. That's one of the things that they foster at A1 is how can we create this team of competitors where they're so hungry to win, and at the same time there's that collaborative culture where it's not just about me winning, it's about us winning as well. And that's the hard blend. That's the difficult one.
Yeah.
And he's been able to master it at A1. But I'm curious if you have any strategies or thoughts or questions that you would want to ask of people that you're hiring that would allow you to understand that, yes, you want to be the absolute best at what you do, and you want our team to be the absolute best at what we do.
Man, I'm probably not the best person to answer this. I don't know if I've got the answer for you. You came up with a couple of questions that I think you mentioned to me that you guys asked people that I actually wrote down when you told me that, because I'm looking for a better way to do this.
Yeah, well, and I want to go into some of those questions, but I want to go back to that competition thing for a second. You don't have to be a sports player to know competition. Elon Musk.
That's true. That's very true.
Look at Elon Musk. The kid he read books. He was a nerd. I mean, sure, he probably played some level of sports, but he was never a professional Div 1 athlete in college. And look at what he's done now. He just wants to win, right? And so understanding that component of things, that's where I was kind of getting at, is the sports aspect of things, not necessarily true and accurate. Will to win and compete, yes, 100%. Because when you surround yourself with A players, and you think about like what you guys do and what we do at On Purpose Media, the numbers that I've heard, and this is just anecdotal from other people, is that you have one great person, they will do the work of 3 good people or average people. All right, sometimes maybe 2, but 3, right? Generally speaking, they're going to ask for more money. And so, but you actually save more money by finding a great person and paying them more money than hiring 3 average people, right? Let's just say if your salary is $5,000 per month, for example, for the average people, well, that's 15 grand. If you hired one great person for 10 grand, you still had 5 grand, right? And so it's also understanding and looking at that. But what I like doing in our interviews, and by the way, my hiring process is not 100% spot on, right? I've had some duds of some hiring in my entire life, right? Yeah, Evan's number one. I've hired him two times now, once into the old business, and then once we partnered together. I'm talking about like my track record over hiring, just even outside of On Purpose Media. Shit, even in On Purpose Media, nobody on our current team. Shout out our current team; they're all awesome and phenomenal. But asking some questions that are different than what people prepare for. So if you're doing a sales question, well, you might ask sales questions. Well, get off the sales train for a second and stump them with different questions. You know, my favorite question to ask in an interview, the very first one, describe yourself in the third person. And I love that one. Why? Because they're like, okay. And then they go. But the quick thinkers, the quick-witted ones will just roll with it. Right. And those are the sharper people, because now you're kind of eliminating some of that, but also some of the personality-based questions that they can't prepare for an interview.
I like it. Mm-hmm. I also like what you said, and I don't mean to toot my own horn here, but I'm going to anyways. You bring on one good person or one great person, and it's like hiring 3 people. I think I do the work of like 3 to 5 employees, and I'm not kidding. I think Ryan Fenn would tell you the same thing. I just brought on kind of a sales manager to build out HubSpot for our sales team, because I'm not good at that stuff. I'm not the smartest person in the world. I'm really good at getting stuff done, but I'm not super organized and systemized. And so I hired somebody that was smarter than me, and I'm 100% okay with that. Because I think that that's part of it. You've got to be willing to say, okay, this is what I'm good at. This is what I'm not great at. So I'm just going to go hire a great person in that specific role. But I like what you mentioned right there, because I just hadn't thought about that. But you bring on someone that's doing the job of 3 people and you pay them 100 instead of paying 3 people 50,000. You're actually saving money there, and you're bringing on a better person.
100%.
And saving the headache.
Right. Yeah. I wrote down great person. I forget where I was going to go with that. And I was like, oh, I got this great epiphany on that, but now it's eluded me.
One of my favorite things to do for a sales interview, anyone that we're hiring for a sales position, you don't get the job. Like when we put out this ad, we are looking for top people, and I just don't feel like you're the right fit for this. And then watch what they do. Justin, if Ryan would have said to you, I don't think that you're a good fit for this role, what would you have done?
I would have responded to him and told him he was an idiot.
Right. And that's why you would have got the job.
Right.
Because in sales, it's rare that you get a yes immediately.
Yep.
You need to be able to handle objections. You need to be able to have a conversation afterwards, find the root cause of where this objection is coming from, provide a solution that potentially solves that, see where we're at now, and re-ask if they want to buy. Right. And so we've got to go through that objection cycle to be able to handle all of the possible objections that they have, any hesitations that they have, and then be able to move forward with a buying decision. Rarely do we salespeople ever get a yes right away. You have to be able to handle that.
Yep.
I will never hire someone that doesn't get rejected from a job for a sales position.
Sales position. Yes. One other thing just in and around hiring is, you mentioned hiring people that are better than you. Sometimes people think, well, I'm not ready to hire somebody because I need somebody full time. And this comes from the philosophy of Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell, also a great book. And also stems from a post that Ryan Redding put out today about, maybe it was yesterday, about inboxes. And your amount of unread emails is correlated to productivity. And there was a conversation, a thread going on there. Finding what things you look, the majority of the folks that are listening or watching are most likely business owners. And so finding the things that you're good at and finding the things that you're not good at, finding the things that you're not good at, finding somebody to take those off of your plate. It doesn't have to be a full-time person either, right? You can hire part-time individuals into the role because, hey, you know what? There's great people out there that only can work 10 to 20 hours per week. And that's what they want, because they have family lives and whatever else on the go, and that's what they want. So finding those great part-time people to be able to offload some of your tasks so you can do the things that you are great at.
That is true. We're trying. We're looking into hiring an assistant right now, Ryan and me, just to take care of travel, hotels. Book these events, managing some of our inbox. Like there's just a lot of stuff that Ryan and I are still doing, and it's a lot of work.
So you don't get stuck at the Super 8 the night before when you book it the night before showing up to a hotel.
What are you talking about?
Come on, Ryan, get off your wallet, bud.
Shout out to Ryan. Ryan's an awesome person. So
he is. I just remember that joke that you're like, "Where are you guys staying?" Like, some Super 8 down the road because we didn't book it till last night.
Yeah.
That's funny. So
growing pains, right? Growing pains.
But hey, if you want to talk about an assistant, I offer this out to somebody too. I believe that we've got a fairly dialed in hiring funnel for an executive assistant. Happy to jump on and show you guys. In fact, anybody for that matter, if they want to see what we do for our hiring process and funnel for an executive assistant, because, well, we have a great one on our team right now as a result of that hiring funnel. So
I'd actually would like to talk to you about that.
Perfect. Well, we'll get that set up. But and speaking of talking to people, if you want to get in touch with Justin, you can do so at justin@chiirp.com. If you want to, it's CHIIRP. You can add them on facebook.com/chirp. And if you're just like, shut up and take my money, head on over to chirp.com/HSSR. That's our link. You get 25% off your first 3 months. So head on over and check out a demo on that. But before we wrap up, we have one final question here for you.
All right.
Evan, do you want to ask it? Anna, fuck it, I'm going to ask it. What is one question that you wish people would ask you more, but don't?
What is one question you wished people would ask you more, but don't? Shit, bro. That's a deep question.
Mm-hmm. Trademark, HVAC Success Secrets Revealed.
That we stole from someone else.
You know, I know I've already talked about this a little bit, but for me, I just wish people would ask me a little bit more about some of the tough experiences that I've been through. I'm pretty open on my Facebook and just in general about, like, I went through some pretty tough experiences. And so one of my goals is really to start using those experiences as much as I can to help other people. And I think sometimes people see me post it and they appreciate it, but they're kind of nervous to actually ask me the details of what happened. And I totally understand that, but I actually want to be able to share that kind of stuff with people and help them out where I can.
I like that. Is there, I mean, I feel like I want to ask you a few, but one that you and I had chatted about once before, and you made the decision conscientiously to stop drinking alcohol. And I know that you're open about this as well with others. So I feel that we're not blindsiding you with a question that you weren't prepared for. When you think about that whole decision in surrounding, hey, I'm just going to stop drinking alcohol. I think a lot of alcohol is one of those ones that, I mean, shit, we're having a drink here right now, right? It's one of the most socially acceptable forms, and it's very tough for people to just get up and stop drinking. What was your decision process, in why did you want to be able to do that? And more importantly, how did you keep going with it?
Yeah, good question. So basically, it came down to there's two parts to it. Part number one, I have an extreme personality. I do everything 100%. It does not matter what it is. And so even when it came to drinking, I was drinking past the point of where it was healthy. And so the second part to that is, for somebody that was running away from their emotions for so long and running away from how they were feeling, I didn't want to take in any substance that was going to numb me from any experience that I was having. I wanted to be able to face any emotion or any experience, as tough as it was, and learn how to get through it completely sober. Because at the end of the day, for me, when I was drinking, and by the way, this isn't a knock to anyone that's drinking. I drink hard, right? I drink differently than other people drink. But for me, it didn't help it. It helped it in the moment, but whatever I was trying to avoid would come back tenfold later on. And so when I made the decision that I really wanted to change, I just made the decision that I was never going to use any substance again. And to be honest with you, it hasn't been hard for me since I made that decision. Do I, every once in a while, I'm at an event and I see people drinking like you and Evan, and we're chopping it up, and I'm like, oh yeah, that would be a good time. Yeah, that crosses my mind. But when it comes down to it, I'm so focused on being the best me that I can be, and I know that that stuff's not conducive for me to be that person. So I just don't entertain it.
Love it. Appreciate you sharing.
Yep.
More people need to hear that message, especially if you're at the point where you're beyond social drinking.
Yep.
Yes. And if you are beyond that point, even start small. I mean, do a 30-day challenge. See what happens. You'll be surprised.
And that's something Darren Hardy talks about in the Compound Effect, is taking that vice fast and almost doing it, and he was raised Catholic. I was raised Catholic, same thing, where, you've got that Lent ideal where you give up something for 40 days. Well, why not do that with any vice? I've done it many, many times in my life, whether it was video games as a kid, whether it was alcohol or tobacco or anything like that. Any type of addictive substance, taking a check and seeing it, do you have a grasp on it, or does it have a grasp on you? And if it's something that you truly feel like you can't be without, then it might be something worth kicking altogether.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The other interesting part to that is, even though it hasn't been super difficult for me, when you do like just quit something like that, you do notice how quickly your mind goes there in several situations, whether it's stress, whether it's a good day, whether it's a bad day, whether it's a birthday, whether it's a funeral, like when you quit something like that, you do notice like how quickly your mind just automatically wants to go to whatever it is that you're trying to quit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're like a fat kid in a candy store. You just want everything.
After Atlanta last year, I did 90 days. I went 90 days without it, without alcohol. And that you are right. Like at the end of a stressful day, it's like, oh, I just really want to drink right now. Well, okay, well, what are you trying to suppress, right? What are you trying to numb? Well, now you have perhaps a real issue that you actually need to address because alcohol was just masking it, or whatever, any other drug. I mean, you can use cannabis as an example here too. I mean, people go after really tough days, like, oh, I'm just going to go smoke a doobie. I really want one because it's going to relax me. Okay, well, what are you trying to relax from? What's the root cause of that? Why don't you go identify and look at that to be able to solve that unabridged without any sort of a substance?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's one of the hardest things with people in smoking, right? Is that it's connected to an experience, which is social. It's a break from work. It's the opportunity to go outside, and you're taking deep breaths for the first time in your day. So you're surrounded, right? And so what a concept, just go take a deep breath. But you're also getting outside. And so when you're combining all of these things, that's what creates a deep connection to it. It's not just the nicotine that you can't kick. It's all of these other things that you're associating to it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. 100%. What a phenomenal way to end the show. I like that. I like that topic. I think it's fascinating and one that more people need to hear. And
just so everyone knows, nobody's perfect. We're all doing the best we can, and that's okay. We're all doing the best we can, and that's it. That's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because we're talking about that. Like, should we put dips in before the show? Like, I'd probably throw up if I had a dip. It's been probably about 20 years since I've had one. So I would definitely puke.
No, but it's interesting. Nicotine.
I've only got like 4 in right now. So literally.
That's his baseline. Right? He's double decking. No, but nicotine has a tremendous effect on the body. And that's where when you can find it in ways that are non-toxic, right? You look at what is in a cigarette and it's fucking disgusting. But nicotine has a tremendous ability on the body to drive focus. And there's been tons of studies on its ability to block out noise, drive focus, and it effectively has the same reaction as like an Adderall would, where you're driving attention into a certain way. And nicotine in and of itself is actually very non-addictive. It's all the other shit that's associated with it, and that's where people get stuck.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Fun facts with that. All right, my friend. Thank you for taking the time to chat with us. Words of wisdom, as always. Thank you for providing value. Thank you for being a shining light where others aren't the shining light. So thank you for being authentically you whenever you possibly can, which is all the time.
Appreciate it. Appreciate you guys having me. You guys are awesome. Shout out to On Purpose Media, by the way. They were chirping before almost anybody was chirping. I think when we started our partner program like 18 months ago, you guys were one of the first partners that actually gave us a chance and hopped on a call with us and listened to us. So we genuinely appreciate that. Partnerships are what have gotten us to where we're at. So thank you guys for taking a chance on us in the beginning.
Appreciate that. Your guys' platform is phenomenal. Love it. So
sweet.
All right. Well, until next time.
Cheers, my friend.
Well, that's a wrap on another episode of HVAC Success Secrets Revealed. Before you go, 2 quick things. First off, join our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/HVAC Revealed. The other thing, if you took one tiny bit of information out of this show, no matter how big, no matter how small, all we ask is for you to introduce this to one person in your contacts list. That's it. That's all. One person. So they too can unleash the ultimate HVAC business. Until next time, cheers.